Hey, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good to see you all. How are you all?
I know, there's so many people here. Welcome.
We're almost 666 people. Good time to start.
Oh, yes. That's magic.
I know,
right
rock on. Well, my name is Lilith Dorsey, and I'm the author of Water Magic, which was the first of this elemental series to be released. And I'm so happy to be here. I'm coming from New Orleans, which is technically underwater. So that's very appropriate for today. I've written lots of books, not just this one. This was my most recent one, but also Orisha's Goddesses and Voodoo Queens. I have a book about love magic. I have a cookbook. I got lots of books about voodoo. So I'm excited to be here with all my other elemental cohorts and to get started today.
Yay. Yes, and I'm Astrea Taylor. My book, Air Magic, just came out yesterday. Here is a little picture of it. It was so cool to write this because I love the element of air so much, and I was so honored that I was asked to write this. And it's my second book with Llewellyn. My first is Untitled Witchcraft. It came out exactly a year and a day ago. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just really happy to be here amongst all these wonderful people.
My name's Josie. I'm from Australia, and I wrote the Fire Magic book, which comes out in July. It's my first book with Llewellyn, but I have another one coming very soon. And yeah, really pleased to be here. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here, so I'm doing my best.
Hi, folks. Hi, my name's Dodie Graham McKay, and I am the writer of the Earth Magic book that will not be out until October the 8th. It's my very first book ever. My background is mostly in film, actually. I'm a filmmaker. The most fun I had making a film was making one called The Winnipegans, which was a bit of a love letter to my local community here in Winnipeg, Canada. So good to see everybody here. Wow, lots of folks from all over the world. Much like our crew of writers here, we're representing, 3 different countries, many different time zones?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio, so kind of all over.
Wow. Wow, and lots of questions rolling in.
Yeah, we love questions. So yeah, send us your questions. We can answer the first one by Llewellyn first. Why do you think working with each individual element is so important to our practice? I'll start with that one just because I'm already talking, I guess. So I love the elements. I think Matt Oren said it best when he said each element is a frequency. He probably got that from somewhere else. I'm not sure exactly, but it's this like frequency of energies that we can work with to accomplish whatever we want to achieve. And so, you have the earth and then the fire, the water and the fire and the air, and they all have different levels and resonances and correspondences. And so I just love tuning into those and saying like, okay, what does my manifestation goal feel like, for example? And, I can really tune into, say, the water and use those elements and the element of water and those correspondences to really help out with what I'm doing. So it really helps me get in tune with that. So in getting stronger in each element is, I think, also really important, because the more we attune to those energies and understand them, the more we can work with them when we want to. So I used to say water was my weakest element because I got earth, I got fire, I got air, but I didn't really understand water. So when I read Lilith's book, it really helped me really understand, like, intuitively what was going on with water. And so now I'm able to bring that out in my magical practice as well. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, it's sort of bouncing off what you just said, Astrea. I think each of us have an element that we have a natural affinity to. And sometimes that's related to, our birth signs. Sometimes that's related to, where we live. And working with each of them, and it kind of challenges us to rise to our own individual best, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. For me, magic is all about balance and it's all about combination of things. And when we look, especially at the element of water, most of our bodies are made up of water, our hearts and our minds are an even higher percentage of water. So this is something that's already in us. A lot of us live near water, and then we live near these other natural elements that we can combine to make our magic as strong as possible. So for me, it was ironic writing the water magic book because I have no planets in water. I've got no water anywhere, but I have such a connection to some of the goddesses that are attached to water, to some of the sacred sites that are attached to water. My whole life I've lived near water. So writing the book was sort of a rebirth through this water and through this knowledge. And that's what made me so happy and was such sort of an unexpected surprise, a blessing that came to me by writing the book.
I think there's a lot to be learned too about the relationships between the elements, and you don't explore them until you really work with them too. Fire is really interesting because it's the only element that can be created, and also the only element that can be destroyed by the other three. So you can blow out a candle, you can pour water on a fire, or you can put earth over it. And I found that really interesting as I went along with my work too.
That is really cool. I can't wait to read your books too. Like, I haven't read them yet. I know there's so many things in them that I'm just gonna love. It's just soon. We all just have to wait for that rollout.
I know, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I had the privilege of reading Air and Water already, and I really, really valued them. There were so many moments where I really felt like you articulated something I just couldn't find words for, and I really appreciated that. And Josie, I can't wait to get my hands on your book. Yours is the one I haven't read yet.
Soon.
No pressure or anything. There's a question coming through. It says, did you each choose which element you wrote about, or did Llewellyn or the universe decide for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. That's Fox and Oak 93. Thanks for that one. Who wants to go first?
I will, I guess. I read the question out. So we were actually approached for this project by our editor, but it was really interesting, as Lilith was saying before, as we went along, we sort of found these connections that we didn't know sort of existed with us. It all worked out, which was really kind of interesting.
Yeah, I will say that is really interesting. When the editor asked me about the elements, I was like, how about fire? And she was like, that one's taken. Everyone wants fire. Like, okay. And I was like, you know what? I know a lot about air. I've studied climate change. I used to be a NASA scientist as well. And I'm an air sign, and I've studied meditation. And I just happen to have that in my back pocket. But researching the book and reading all the historical things gave me so much more information than I even knew was out there. And then building upon that by using my own practice and developing some concepts that were kind of mysterious really helps to put a lot of innovation into the book as well, which is what air is all about. It's about invention, and using the analytical mind as well as your creativity. So it was really a perfect fit, I'll have to say.
Yeah, writing about Earth. I mean, when I was approached by our editor, Heather, she said, "Hey, you feel like writing this book about Earth?" And it just clicked. It is my comfort zone. I won't lie. It would have been real hard for me to write about any of the other elements to that degree. The biggest challenge, I think, is like, what isn't Earth? I mean, it's our home. It's our planet. It's such an all-encompassing topic. It was, where do you even start and where do you finish? So super fun, super challenging. And it also allowed me to really explore some topics that are very, very dear to my heart. So.
Oh, such wonderful answers. Yeah, I said I wasn't really expecting to write the water magic book, but then as it unfolded, as it sort of let loose all the floodgates, there was more and more and more that just kept coming to me. I was living in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York at the time, and I remember one day I had one of my younger friends. So I'm standing there with a stroller and a 2-year-old, and the elevator's open. We're at the downtown mall in Brooklyn, and somebody comes on with a stuffed heron, and I was like, "This is nuts!" Like, and then I read in the newspaper the next day that there was a whale at Coney Island. So it was kind of like the water was coming to meet me everywhere that I was, even if I wasn't necessarily immersed literally in that in that element at the time, or. You know, and when I first started doing the workshops, the one I did for Llewellyn, my backyard flooded. So it's constantly like the water comes up to say hello, even when I'm not expecting it in new and exciting ways. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, it has an affinity for you.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
Sorry.
There's a really great question here from Rhonda Allen. She says, do you have any quick daily practices to help us connect to each element? I love that. Yeah, I do. I have one. I have a little right here. This is my office. This is a very, very small room that's packed with material goods, mostly books. But I also have a small little earth altar right beside me. It's just a little salt bowl with a little goddess statue and some earth-related crystals in it, and some sprinkles of herbs, and sometimes I burn incense in it that is like earthy smells. And it's a nice way to get my workday started, whether I'm writing or doing film stuff from home. Having a small shrine in my immediate space, something that's like a physical, tangible, tactile manifestation of the earth element, so close to me. It's just a little thing. I just spend a minute or two with it in the morning before I kick off my day, and it helps me ground myself and start fresh.
I use air magic in my morning practice as well. So basically every morning I wake up and I kind of just feel the energies that are in the air. I just like take the morning in, just like take 2 minutes basically, and just like breathe. I choose like the air breath frequency that I want to help me get the desired mindset for the day with the energy that I'm feeling out there and inside of myself, whatever feels most harmonious. Because with our breaths, like we have the inhalations and exhalations, and that's a frequency. So that's my easiest tip to get in touch with the element of air on a daily basis.
Mine's probably obvious, but I can't go past candles and candle magic. It's one of the simplest and kind of purest forms of doing any sort of working. And in terms of daily stuff, I'm a very busy person. I work full time. I volunteer on way too many pagan organizations, and sometimes I do not stop. But I find even just the act of like setting up and lighting a candle, it kind of forces you to pause and to put the brakes on a little bit and slow down and go, yeah, okay, I'm a human living in the world and I just need to stop.
That's great. Water, I think, is one of the easiest to incorporate because, we're taking water into our bodies, even if it's, we make coffee or tea, or we actually drink an actual glass of water. So for me, it's about making that sacred. It's about realizing the connection between myself and this thing that I really need to live, and just honoring that. And then that can expand throughout the day. I water the plants. That's a sacred act. I take a shower or a bath. That's a sacred act. I use water to clean my home. That's a sacred act. So it's just about remembering the sacred powers of water and using your own intention on top of that as you go through these things during your day when you're going to be using actual water.
Oh, wow.
All right. I see a question here about ancestors.
It sounds like you're kind of.
I feel like that's in my
yeah
wheelhouse. That's my new word for the week. And I think it's particularly appropriate since we have a whole bunch of elements here on the wheel. Okay, Deborah Dolmal says, I've been exploring the connection of elemental affinities and ancestry family karma. Have any of you heard or experienced this connection? And I write a lot about this in the book, how water in a lot of different cultures, you know, African traditional religions and some other indigenous cultures, water is really connected to the ancestors. There's this image of the ancestors residing in the water. There's a way to get through the water to your ancestors. It's a vehicle of passage. So a lot of times when I leave a water offering for my ancestors, I think about the passage that they made, that they came across the waters, they were near water, they used water in their everyday lives, and now they can come back across the waters to help me get through my daily life.
Yeah, and they say the ancestors like to drink water, so leaving water on their altar or shrine is a good idea as well. I've had a dream where I was healing some ancestral trauma with my grandfather, and this creature was pulling things out of the earth and then washing them in the water and sorting them in the water and hauling them away in the water. So to me, water is a very ancestral feeling as well. And on my ancestor altar, I actually have earth and water. I have a little earthen bowl with some like heavy minerals in it and a glass of water for them at all times.
Nice.
Can I just address this question about the sun really quick?
Sure.
So somebody here has said, Christina has said, because the sun is a fire and flame, would taking in a sunrise or a sunset or feeling the sun's heat throughout the day, would that be a way to connect with the fire element as well? Or is the sun not really part of the fire element? It absolutely is part of the fire element. If you think about there are so many cultures in the world that since the dawn of time, the sun has played some part in their worship. I'm an Alexandrian Wiccan, and, you know, the Sabbats and the solstices and the Wheel of the Year that was devised by Jagna and sort of built upon, of course, even that is based on the sun. So, yeah, seeing the sunset or the sunrise is an absolutely perfect way to connect with that element. I like the idea of Morris dances in England and elsewhere. We do it here in Australia too, dancing up the sun on Beltane morning and things like that. Perfect.
I see that Keldon has written a really great question on here. Hi, Keldon. Haven't seen you in forever.
Keldon, hey.
And Keldon wants to know if you are able to say, are there particular spirits associated with the different elements that you work with? You know, that's all these sort of earthy, horned, antlered gods really, really appeal to me. That sort of primal nature of like a woodland spirit. Any deities that are associated, have those associations, are really, really dear to my heart. Dear to my heart. Haha, I'm hilarious. So it took me a long time actually to sort of develop an affinity for sort of the idea of an earth mother goddess figure. But more and more, and I think it's something to do with me aging, I'm feeling a greater comfort with those sort of earth mother figures. So anybody else? Deities, spirits?
Yeah, I work with a few deities of air, and I feel that creativity muses are also air spirits as well. And you know, I don't know if we could discuss like whether a familiar is an air spirit or not as well. But I work with a lot of these invisible spirits that are in the medium of air and who are there, but we just can't see them, just like the element of air. They're a spirit, they're an energy that's not visible to our human eyes in this limited spectrum that we have. And most of us, I will say, some of us can see them or from the corner of our eyes, perhaps. But yeah, I work with a lot of them, and the spirits of the element of air really come through really easily to me, because I think that a lot of my deities are air as well. It just they facilitate like this translation, and they kind of just flow. When I'm writing, I can feel their words guiding me as well. It's a really beautiful feeling.
Wow, there's a lot of great questions coming up. Kathy Griffith, dear to your heart too. Excellent. Anyway. Oh. Llewellyn Books, what are your favorite spell ingredients or altar items for your workings? Candles, salt bowls, and water have been mentioned. What else? Well, I think my whole garden is a spell ingredient and magical tool. I really, really love gardening, and I really love getting my hands dirty, turning the soil over. I have a relationship with my composter. I talk to it. I love the decay and the rot that happens, and all the abundance that comes out of that when I mix that into my garden beds. Growing things, planting things. It's I think all too often we overlook these very humble magical tools in favor of like the glitzy ones we can order online or pick up in a shop. You know, a wooden spoon is a magical tool if you're using it to do effective kitchen witchery. So,
Yeah, I'm just thinking through, and just about all of my magical tools were not bought in a glitzy place online. All of my favorite ones were either things people have made or stuff I've bought at secondhand shops, thrift stores. So absolutely.
Yeah, for me, I would have to say incense.
I think for me, yeah.
That's just
Definitely.
the easiest one, incense and the breath.
Yeah. And I know I mentioned regular water or tap water, which for me is a manifestation, a spirit of place. But all different waters are a manifestation, a spirit of place for me, because they snake around the locations that they're in. They come up or lap on the shore up to us. So lots of times I'll have sacred waters that I use as ingredients, you know, from sacred places. We're lucky enough now, those of us who live in larger cities, we can get magical water from glaciers or from Fiji or from wherever we want to sort of infuse our magic. And that's one of the most beautiful things to me. But I am a big gardener too, just like you, Dodie. And so I'll leave out rainwater, and then there's a difference between doing, you know, we had some serious, I know someone was mentioning tornadoes. We had some serious storms, tornadoes and stuff going on last night. The storm water I can collect during a tornado is going to be very different magically than just from a light spring sprinkling. So that changes the character of the water and therefore changes the character of the magic. And I can use it in different circumstances.
And thanks to you, Lilith, I have bottles and bottles of water that are just marked with like the astrological stuff and like the kind, like the snow water from the moon and Aquarius, you know, all this stuff I have. And I love that. And whenever I need something, I'm like, this is the one. Yes. You know, it feels so good to have that at my fingertips.
That manifestation of spirit of place thing was a real light bulb moment for me too, Lilith, when I read your book. I was there, like this, sort of taking notes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, incense is so important. It's just like one of those things, like the aromatics, whether you use flowers or essential oil or incense, you know, it's just smell evokes so much memory, and some of that's ancestral as well. But we have our own program memories, and we can use that to program ourselves to get into a certain mindset. I have this flying oil that's, you know, it's all non-toxic, but like it has all these higher frequency essential oils like nutmeg, and it's very it smells very dreamy and flyy, and I just love it because it puts me into that higher upper world trance state right away. and it's perfect. And, you can burn those essential oils as an incense as well if you have the charcoal bricks or an aromatizer as well. We have a question about moon water and storm water.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was trying to type it out, but for some reason it's going really slow. So I'll just answer Chloe's question about, yes, I make moon water. I make moon water different phases of the moon. There's lots of instructions in the book about how to use the different phases of the moon to make your own moon water. And Rhonda, you have to come back and visit me next time you're in NOLA.
Yeah. Amanda has a question that she's trying to correct. She said her daughter had her first accidental astral projection yesterday morning. She was assisted by a deity that we believe to be Maya. What do we do to appreciate her for her assistance? I'll just answer real quick, and then I'll turn over to you, Lilith. But astral projection is a huge thing. I had that happen to me when I was a child, and it was very unsettling at first because I didn't know what was happening. And, like your daughter, I had a mother who knew what that was all about. She'd experienced that as well. So I do want to say, in a way, it was an initiation for me, and it was it was disturbing because I had no control over things, and I panicked and I froze up. But eventually, I relaxed, and now I view it as a very special thing. Something happened. The other world may have pulled me out of my body or whatever. I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but it's a beautiful thing, and I think celebrating the spirituality of your daughter would be a beautiful thing. And I don't know where Lilith went, but yeah, that spirit, Maya, I don't know why you think it's her, but yeah, that's a spirit, as far as I understand, that's associated with the rivers and whatnot, and waters. So let's wait for Lilith to answer that when she gets back, because she knows far more than I do about that. Are there any other good questions out there? You guys see?
I'd really like to just quickly address, somebody asked just earlier on, they were a newbie and I didn't know where to start. My advice is always just to start. There's not a wrong way to do witchcraft unless you're not doing the witchcraft. So find a book or even read online and just get started. The hardest step is getting started.
Yeah, giving yourself permission to be a newbie and ask questions. Yep. It's sometimes, especially, and I don't know how old the person is who's asking the questions, but sometimes we feel like all my elders are younger than me, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you feel like everybody's so much more in a different age group than you. Just start and allow yourself to be open to the new experiences and read everything you can get your hands on, but be objective about what you're reading.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't like it, you don't have to read it. Just read whatever you resonate with.
Am I back? Can I answer the Yemaya question?
Yes, please.
You're back.
You're back. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the questions about why they think it's Yemaya. I mean, the thing about Yemaya is she is the Orisha of the ocean, of the seas. She's seen as the mother of the fishes. She is sort of this water mother. And she does sometimes contact people in dreams, especially children, I think as sort of a protection mechanism and things of that nature. But my best bet for something like that would be to get a reading, go to your local Botanica and get a reading, or find somebody who's qualified in the ATRs online to get you a reading, because maybe Yemaya is trying to tell you something. And unlike some of the other traditions, that's really something that you need sort of expert divination about to find out exactly what it is.
That's good advice.
Okay, looking for more questions. There's so many comments popping up. I'm getting distracted here.
Yeah, that's great. I love them.
I like this one about, where'd it go? Do you practice any or some sort of divination related to your elements? That's from Llewellyn. I love tarot. Tarot is my go-to. I also really like dowsing. You know, I have a pair of copper dowsing rods, and I like using those for, especially if it's sort of like a hide and seek kind of thing. I'm trying to find something. Pendulums, dowsing rods, tarot cards. Those would be three that are very different body sensations to use those. I like a pendulum because it's really portable. I can have that thing out of my pocket and use it and slip it back into my pocket very easily without, drawing a lot of attention to myself. The dowsing rods are a little bit more conspicuous.
Mm-hmm. They stick out.
Yeah, a little bit.
I use all of those too, Dodie. Those are my go-tos as well.
Yeah.
I like to use bird divination. I like to ask a question and gaze into the sky and say, okay, the next bird is going to answer this question. Whether it's, what bird is the spirit or representation of my house, or what do I need to work on in my life right now? What should I celebrate? A bird always appears eventually, and birds are so different. They're animals and they all have different characteristics, and so you can really use their information and their attraction to the energy that you have to divine what you need to do with your life, or whatever the answer to your question.
I'm a big tarot nerd as well. One of the divination techniques I actually learned writing the fire book is an old one from Victorian England, which involves reading the way the ashes fall in the grate of your fire, that I hadn't read about before, and there's a lot to that. It was really interesting, and we're lucky enough to have an open fire here, so that's something I've given a go a little bit. Yeah.
Llewellyn Books is asking, have you all been doing your spells rituals differently this year? Perhaps focusing more on home-based spells rather than spells in nature, or vice versa. I don't know about anybody else, but my practice of kitchen witchery's really taken off. Been spending a lot more time cooking at home, and working magic with that cooking to improve health, improve our state of minds. I think everybody's been sort of a little bit more housebound than we're used to. So, magic's related to home and hearth, definitely. Home, hearth, and health, definitely top of the agenda this year.
Absolutely.
I think so. When I wrote Water Magic, I thought, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. I think there must be a delay. Go ahead, Lilith.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought I was going to spend the year traveling. There's so many different sacred sites that I put in the book. And I was like, I'm going to publish the book and then I'll get to go everywhere. I'll get to go to Mexico and Tibet and all of these other places. And all I am is at home. But I think that that's something we all learned. And that to me was the beauty of the elemental water, because as I said, it's in my body, it's in my yard, it's down the road from me. So I could incorporate that sacred water and really acquaint myself to that on a deep and abiding level this year, as so many other things got deep this year.
They really did get deep too. It's like so intense to experience the pandemic and to publish books during the pandemic, as we have, Lilith. Like that's hard,
Yes.
It's not an easy thing. I think we've each published 2 books during the pandemic now. And yeah, we haven't had a chance to get out and
Yep.
share our love with the world. But yeah, so I don't get out much either. I'm very homebound. I work from home and I write from home. But when I do get out, those experiences are over the top magical. Like I really make it a point to like reach a natural place and do something that I feel resonates with whatever I need at the moment or whatever I want to donate or give at the moment. Just an energy exchange with the spirits there. It's really special. So making those moments special has helped me venture out, first of all, because you could just get stuck in your home. And second of all, really appreciate them and see the magic that's all around us and have a chance to interact with that energy. Anybody else want to answer that question too?
We are no longer in lockdown here in Australia, but I found we had a very strict lockdown in Melbourne. We weren't allowed to go within 5 kilometres, more than 5 kilometres away from our homes. And I found that bringing of the walls in was actually a big challenge for my work. A lot of my work involves working with other people and working in groups and things like that. But it did allow me to focus on some self-work and also some sort of just getting back into parks and forests and things nearby and really, really examining why I got into this to begin with, which I think that self-reflection is so important.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, just to bounce off something that Josie just said, you know, like our sort of COVID rules here where I live have kept people pretty restricted. We haven't been able to gather with our magical groups, which has been, you know, a really big deal. I have a coven. We meet at least once a week to do something together, and we haven't been able to be in person and actually have ritual together and do crazy things like sharing a cup or sharing a plate of food. The thought of that is just so crazy. So we've been meeting online, sort of putting our earthy practices sort of into this sort of cyberspace where everything is very, I guess, air related. You know, we're talking and imagining and thinking more than we're touching and doing and feeling, you know, in a space together. Yeah. So it's kind of pushed the walls out on where our circle can be. And we would rather, you know, pre-pandemic, I wouldn't have dreamed of doing ritual online. During a pandemic, you know, witchcraft is only effective if you're doing it. And sometimes this is our only way, so we adapt.
Yeah, so I feel like we're in this era of Aquarius, whether it's an age of Aquarius or not, where a lot of things have moved to be not in person, but like in the air. Like the Wi-Fi is literally like an air magic. It's all around us. It's bouncing information, which also has to do with air. And so I've led a few rituals online over this pandemic period. And what's really cool is that I can actually feel the energy of people. You know, I do this whole consent thing where I talk about like, hey, if you don't want to take part in the energetic part, you know, you just close yourself off and we'll respect that. But I can actually feel when the group reaches a climax or when they like purge negative stuff. And so I can actually move through that energy. The energy is still there. It's just in the air. And having the live transmissions, it gives us the time to really the opportunity to do the same work, but it is on this larger scale basis most of the time and virtual instead of in person. It's really interesting.
Oh.
We're nearing the end, I guess, guys.
Yeah.
We have a final question from Llewellyn. What's the one thing, only one, that you want folks to know about working with the elements? Who wants to start that one out?
Start with the element you have the greatest affinity to and work from there. You know, if you're an air person, you know, start with exploring air. If you're a fire person, you know, pick up a candle, try a little candle magic. Just do something. Be effective, manifest it.
I would say breath is a really wonderful thing to do. Just the breath frequency. Like we can really attune our minds and spirits to a frequency if we just breathe at a certain pace. So pay attention to your breathing and whether you're holding your breath or breathing freely or not. And that will really help you get into the right mindset that you want to be in.
People tend to say,
Yes. Go ahead.
Sorry, Lilith. I guess with this sort of stuff, people tend to say, do what feels right. And of course you are going to do what feels right. But I think try to go deeper than that and really examine why something feels right for you as well. So do the thing, like Dodie said, definitely do it. And then reflect on what worked and what didn't. I wish I'd started like a magical journal and reflecting about 10 years earlier than I did.
Oh, no, I totally agree with that. Radical self-assessment. I demand that from all my students, just so you see how things work. Definitely. But for me, I think I just want to say anybody can do it. If you can backdoor your way around things. If you're not comfortable working with water, you could use a different element to work with it. You could use, a watery incense, or you could use a watery crystal, or you could have a water candle. All of these ways you could get to that element through the other elements. So, there's more than one way to make magic, and you find the way that's right for you.
It's beautiful. I love that.
Oh.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This has been so special.
Yeah, and check out the coupon code that Llewellyn just posted for everybody to use.
Yeah, I think it works on pre-orders as well. So that's a good thing to know. Yeah, this has been really fun.
Thank you, everybody.
All
Very
right,
nice to see everybody here today. Thank you.
I love talking with you
And
all.
thanks for having us, Llewellyn.
Yeah, thank you, Llewellyn.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you can buy your books at bookstores or at llewellyn.com. I think that's where the coupon's going to work, wherever you can buy books. But I think, the coupon will be a really nice treat for everybody who's been on this call.
Oh.
Well, we'll say bye, everybody, and take care. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Yes.
And keep warm this weekend too.
Bye.
Yeah.